Rebecca Ferguson's upcoming movie is the perfect Game of Thrones replacement. Rebecca Ferguson's upcoming fantasy movie, which closely resembles Game of Thrones, is all the more exciting after the success of Dune, Part 2. The 40-year-old actress is perhaps best known for her role as Ilsa Faust in the Mission Impossible franchise, though recent years have seen her cornering a new market, the sci-fi and fantasy genres. Many of Rebecca Ferguson's best movies and shows are high-budget blockbusters, and she has more exciting work to look forward to. Following the success of Game of Thrones in the 2010 seconds, streaming services have jumped at well-known fantasy titles, hoping to emulate the HBO show's wide-reaching success. While none have achieved the same appeal, there are several great fantasy books and series yet to be adapted, including one that Rebecca Ferguson has reportedly signed on for. Hollywood may have slowed down on its fantasy productions for the moment due to the 2023 strikes, but all it takes is the involvement of a coveted star like Ferguson to bring something new to mainstream popularity. Rebecca Ferguson will star in Best Served Cold. Best Served Cold is a book by British author Joe Abercrombie and a standalone prequel to his fantasy series The First Law. That means the film could set up a series, but the characters and events depicted would be a one-off installment. In May 2023, Rebecca Ferguson and Deadpool director Tim Miller were reportedly in talks to develop a movie adaptation of the fantasy novel. In June 2023, Ferguson provided an update, stating that casting discussions were happening and that she was very, very excited. Her words indicate that the project is confirmed, though the strikes could have halted things, as there's been no news since. Joe Abercrombie endorsed Tim Miller as the perfect candidate to direct the films, saying, "There is no bigger fan of, or bigger champion for, these books" on his website. While he stresses that nothing is finalized, he admits that the involvement of Miller and Ferguson is a promising step. Tim Miller's affinity for comedy and action makes him a terrific candidate, particularly with the author's approval. The First Law series is even darker than Game of Thrones. Joe Abercrombie's First Law series is known as grimdark and is even more violent than Game of Thrones. Many fantasy TV shows have attempted to become the next Game of Thrones, sacrificing parts of their identity to be darker and grittier, hoping to capture the maturity that allowed the HBO drama to appeal to a broader audience. Though there are evident differences between the series, in the sense of being darker, more realistic fantasy that explores ambiguous characters, The First Law is one of the closest in tone to Game of Thrones. With that in mind, it could be the follow-up Hollywood has been looking for without sacrificing any of its individuality. The First Law books are violent and raunchy, follow absolutely vile and detestable characters, and yet manage to be incredibly enjoyable. Joe Abercrombie's sense of dark humor is a big reason why the books are so well received, but there's more to them than just cynicism and satire. The First Law series contains some of the most fleshed-out fantasy characters and complex world-building of the 21st century. For a modern film, TV audience that loves subversive media like Deadpool and The Boys, it's shocking Abercrombie's books have taken so long to be adapted. Enjoying the content? Subscribe, like, share, and drop a comment to be a part of our amazing community. Your support means the world.